Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Barb Bacon, and I'm a community advocate here in South Charlotte. If I had my buttons on today, it would be let's get some gun control. I'm tired of looking at the news and seeing this. Black Lives Matter in honor of our friend Joel, and let's have equal rights for everybody.
Hello, this is Jenny James Gunn. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, North Carolina for LGBT women's rights with the National Organization for Women, gun sense laws with Moms and Men Action, and anything that extends equity to all. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Christian Cano. You're the co-host. My buttons are Moms Men Action, gun sense legislation, healthcare for all, Medicare for all, and also in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who's a guest of ours who passed away last year. That's it.
Good morning, everybody. It is Coffee and Pan Dulce time, and it's July 17th.
Wow.
I guess it's our 2024 theme that
that's right.
Do come true that we wanted this year to go by fast with as minimal disasters as possible. I don't know about the disaster part, but it has gone by fast. But again, this is Coffee and Pan Dulce, and we are in the heat of July, and take it away, Christian.
Yeah, as Jenny said, good morning, everyone. It's already July 17th. That's going to be our sound for the whole year. Wow. So welcome, everyone. As Jenny said, welcome, everyone. This is Coffee and Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn. Barb Bacon, we're still waiting for her return. It's going to be a huge deal here when Barb returns. We taped last week's show, or when you saw last week's show, it was called Barb's Current Events. And when we tape this show, because we tape a week early, that show drops. And I was editing that show, and it was really funny. Urinse was with us. We had some good topics on that one. So we want to thank those who joined us on Facebook Live, but also those who joined us on YouTube, and the thousands who listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform. All right. So today's topic is actually going to be a very interesting topic. We've actually done a show like this, but we decided let's try to touch this again. We want to try to help in our way dispel the myths and the misnomers that Latinx and Hispanic, whatever term you use, the title is Latinx Hispanic is not a race. We want to, and it'd be interesting to kind of hear what you have to say from your perspective, Jen, because you've lived like I have in Texas, but from a different perspective, the term Latino, Latinx, whatever term you use, Tejano, it's not actually a race. It's an ethnicity, like Italian, Polish. But for some reason, it's used like those Latinos, it's used almost in a term that you would use when you're trying to identify someone as a race. So I want to talk about that. And so, but before we do, we want to jump directly into Barb's current events.
And this is Barb's current events.
All right, here we go, Jen. So I want you to know, if you watch Jenny's show, which comes on after this one at 11:30 every Wednesday, one of these topics is her topics. I did not steal this topic This is the first time I actually wrote this before you did, Jen. So anyway, so one of them is from your show. The first one, there is a backlash occurring as we speak from a company called, and I've actually shopped there before, Tractor Supply Company. They're generally a company that sells all kinds of stuff, almost like a urban rural Home Depot kind of place. They hit all kinds of stuff, from feed to all kinds of things. But the reason they were growing so much is because of urban shoppers, or they call them suburban urban shoppers. They kind of like some of the items that they have been doing. Well, their CEO announced a couple of weeks ago that they are going to stop their DEI program. They're also going to stop participating in LGBT, pride events and all that kind of stuff, because they were getting some feedback or whatever from the far right movement, so to speak, and so they decided they didn't want to go into because they were being called a woke company. Anyway, make a long story short, this topic is black farmers. There are a lot of black farmers. Black farmers are very upset about that, and they're threatening a boycott of Tractor Supply. So that's the first one. The second one is this is the one that I did not steal from you, but I thought it was funny as well. The big hurricane that just went through Texas. In case you're not aware and you're not up to date, and hopefully you don't get all your news from us, there, Hot Wheels Abbott, is that the term you used, Jen? Yeah. So Hot Wheels Abbott is gone. He is actually like on a vacation or doing something in Europe, or I don't know where he's at. So the lieutenant governor, the crazy guy, Patrick, is in charge while he's gone. And their infrastructure is so bad that you can't tell where they have power outages or when they're coming back. So people are using the Whataburger app. They're going to the Whataburger app because the power companies, their websites are so bad, they don't show what's coming back or estimated time. So that's pretty pathetic that they're actually using the Whataburger app to help with their power outages for consumers and so forth. So that's like a third world country. The last one is there's a congressperson from Florida, and I don't know if you know who this person is. He's kind of annoying, but his name is Brian Donalds. He's an African-American black congressman, and he's been rumored he's never going to get it. But just like the guy from the senator from South Carolina, they're never going to be vice president pick for the Republican Party because they would never pick a person of color, period. Look what they did to Nikki Haley, and she was like one of the most conservative, governors in history for South Carolina. Anywho, his ex-wife is coming out and spilling the tea on him, and she's saying, "Don't believe everything that he said. The college he went to really didn't happen. He's not really from this country that his family says he's like an immigrant from." Some country. He's not really from there. He will just say things to get people. She was with him for 9 years, and now she's spilling the beans because the reason she's saying is because everything he said on TV is not the real him. So she wants the people to know, hey, don't be conned by him. He's just saying it because it makes him feel validated and so forth. So that's Byron Donalds, the Republican, which is not surprising. So those are three topics. Jen, have at it.
Well, I mean, we're not shocked that a Republican would fake their background and not be full disclosure. I mean, Nikki Haley, aka Nimrata, big old gay, Lady Graham, George Santos. With this, the hits keep on hitting. And
Madison Cawthorn,
Maddie Cawthorn, Bobo Bobert, I mean, it's because they're picking people or allowing people to have a voice in their party. The political parties should be ashamed of themselves to elevate these turds. That they are trash bags because their cult leader is a trash bag, and they're too afraid to defy him. So I mean, you kind of get what you get. They deserve a vice presidential candidate like that, and I hope they nominate a shitbag, which they probably will. I mean, because Pence was a shitbag. He was an absolute bigot and a horrible human being. As far as the Whataburger app thing, You did steal that off my show, so I appreciate that. They say imitation is the best, highest form of
Yes.
flattery, so I am flattered. Every time this happens. But yeah, the Whataburger app is absolutely hilarious. When I saw the story, I was like, that is so Texas. It's so
Yes.
Texas. If you know anything about Texas and
Mhm.
Whataburger and all that, it's so ridiculous. It's funny. It
Yeah.
is funny, and it's kind of sad that Centerpoint Energy, the incumbent for the
Mhm.
Houston area, is so shitty. It's
Yes.
so poorly run, and they've had
Yeah.
such problems in the state for so long.
Mhm.
This is not a new thing,
Yeah.
and it of course, they've kept the same lieutenant
Yeah.
governor and governor for a while. So I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of
Exactly. Yeah.
get
What do you
you get
expect?
what you vote for.
Mhm.
Another reason not to vote for Trump and vote for
Yeah.
Biden. Just saying, our country's run a lot better the last 4 years with Biden.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jen. Yeah. Go ahead, and then the black farmer boycott, possibly.
The tractor supply thing is really surprising because between black farmers and suburban lesbians,
Yes.
I don't know. You're like you think about the people that go, and so I've dated
Mhm.
several lesbians that love Tractor Supply that are very disappointed about this whole thing.
Yeah.
And all the black farmers, people think that all farmers are white for whatever reason,
Mm-mm.
but ton of black and brown farmers
Yeah.
all across the United States. Agriculture is a big thing in the rural areas, and rural areas aren't always all white.
Yes.
And I
Exactly.
mean, surprise, surprise,
Hmm.
and especially in the southern states that were the former slave states that eventually turned into still stayed in agricultural businesses, like Texas, for
Hmm.
example, being a former Confederate state. Agriculture is still a big income producing thing. North Carolina, it's one
Yeah.
of our biggest industries, if not
Yep.
our biggest industry. So it's not shocking at all that a lot of our food, our cotton for clothing, so many
Hmm.
things come from farmers, and it's not a shock that there's tons of black farmers. And Tractor Supply is falling for this cancel culture. Look, first of all,
Hmm.
rednecks are not going to stop coming to your store.
Yeah. Exactly.
MAGAs are not going
Yeah.
to come to the store,
Where
and
where
probably
where else are they going to go?
most
Yeah.
MAGAs can't afford to shop at Tractor Supply. They don't own a
Yeah.
farm. They're
Yeah.
living in some trailer down by the river,
That's
and
exactly true.
and they can barely afford
Yeah.
their stupid tax that they
Hmm.
pay to Trump for
Yeah.
going to the events. And they line
Yeah.
up for days on that. Don't worry about
Hmm.
them. They're not the ones that
Yeah.
shop in your store. It's
Yeah.
lesbians and black people. Let's just be real.
Exactly.
Every
Yeah.
time I've been in there, that's like,
Yeah.
do the DEI. You can call it
Hmm.
something else. Call it,
Yes.
change the name of the program,
Hmm.
but keep diversity programs. Don't
Yeah.
stop sponsoring prides. Don't stop sponsoring,
Hmm.
black economic events, like
Sure.
black chambers of commerce, stuff like that. Don't be stupid. Don't fall
Yeah.
for it. You get no benefit because eventually, because the MAGAs aren't very smart,
Hmm.
they'll forget
Yeah.
pretty soon anyway. They'll go
Well,
to the next
exactly.
scare
Yeah.
of, oh my gosh, the world's falling out because
Yeah.
Tractor Supply spends a little bit of money on pride stuff and black events, like the
Yeah.
whole $50 they spend. Like, come on, stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right, Jenny. I don't understand. Well, as usual, logically, things aren't always done logically with the MAGA people and people who kind of bend to them or whatever. But it doesn't make any sense because the whole reason they were growing was because they needed to appeal to people with higher dispensable income. And to get people into their store to buy things that are probably a little bit more profitable from their standpoint. And if you're just going to buy feed and things like that, there's not a lot of profit margin in that. But they have overalls, they have a bunch of other things, birdhouses. They have all kinds of stuff that other people would normally buy or like to go there for. They sell golf carts out in the front. all your grills, all kinds of stuff, and some of them are pretty good deals. And a person who has pretty higher dispensable income is willing to spend money on that item than maybe go to Home Depot or Lowe's for whatever reason. And it's not going to hurt those of us who, like, I will admit, I like Tractor Supply. They have for me, you know, I buy bird seeds, for sunflower seeds, and I save maybe $2 or $3 if I buy the huge 40-pound container. You know, that's not going to hurt my feelings. I just go to Walmart and spend the extra $2 and buy the same thing. And so it didn't make very much sense, especially when they're going to alienate a lot of the market that, as you mentioned, that they need to continue to grow. And the MAGA base doesn't really shop at Tractor Supply. They're probably more a dollar store, Dollar General kind of individual. I'm not trying to knock down Dollar Store, Dollar General, because they have some really good deals. I mean, I like them. But you know, it's a kind of a crazy thing. The Texas app thing, I don't understand. I understand it, but it's so embarrassing. It's like, okay, we're so terrible and we're so third world country now that we can't tell our consumers when the power is going to come back on. So everyone's going to the Whataburger app. It reminds me of, I don't know if this is a good analogy. It reminds me of when the Ukraine-Russia war first started. Ukraine knew where the Russian army was by going on Grindr, because they were able to see how close of a distance they were marching. That's how bootleg the Russian army was, that they did not turn their Grindr apps or their dating apps off. And so this is how bootleg. It's like, if there's a tornado in Texas, what are they now going to say? Okay, everyone look out to see if there's cows flying. I mean, it's just, anyway, it was funny. I'm glad that you mentioned it on your show, and I had written it down because I thought it was kind of a humorous thing. But all right. So anything else before we take our first break, Jen?
Well, I mean, Texas has brought this on themselves. They've decided to drive away all the smart people, and so smart people have moved to other states or moved back to California because they realize Texas has turned into a shithole. And it's like, I don't want to live in Iran or Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't want to live in Texas either. And I'm not a knock on Afghanistan or Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Just when I wake up in the morning, if I was going to leave the United States, it definitely wouldn't be to those two countries. And I just don't, Texas isn't home anymore for a myriad of reasons, even though this is a funny one.
Yeah, that is a funny one. All right. Hey, we're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce right after this.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching our spring shows and sticking with us. And we've got a fabulous summer lineup. I hope y'all are excited as I am. And let's enjoy our summers. Hot Girl Summer 2024. See y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching. And support our local Black and brown businesses, including our sponsor, Manolo Bakery. That has some fabulous pastries, food, king cakes, all kinds of specialty cakes, swallows, and much, much more. Some of the best food you eat in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, Manolo's Bakery, right here in East Charlotte. Thanks for watching. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching the Florida shows. They've been wildly successful. Obviously, it's a topic that you guys have enjoyed and wanted to know more of. And we like talking about the dumpster fire that used to be the state of Florida. And we'll probably talk about it some more this summer. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for watching. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching our Coffee and Pan Dulce show every week. Don't forget, you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. We'll dance out. Welcome back, everyone. So listen, today's topic, Latinx Hispanic is not a race. This is a topic that probably impacts me personally a lot because I grew up in Texas. I grew up never thinking or never really feeling that I was Latino or Hispanic or even Tejano quite honestly, I was just kind of a Texan. And many members of my family, we celebrated our ethnicity and our heritage by doing the things that our family traditionally does, by going to Jamaicas and festivals and celebrating certain things or whatever. But it was we were very assimilated, so to speak, in the Texas culture and so forth. And it wasn't until I left Texas that I realized, as people would say, where are you from? That's a polite way of saying you're not white. And so,
Yeah.
as I've dug into the history of kind of cultures and ethnicities and so forth, it's not uncommon in the United States for certain cultures to be branded kind of a race, whether they were Polish Americans, Irish Americans, even German Americans, Italian Americans. They were all, it was whoever was the newest one, or the one that was rising. And so when I look, and one of the reasons it was very confusing to me is because growing up, all my driver's license said white, my birth certificate says white, everything says white. But then you have the second line that says ethnicity. And I understood that, and I would always check Hispanic or whatever, Latinx, whatever. But now it seems that people, and I don't know, they use the term Latino, Hispanic as if though it is a race. And I don't know if that's good, or I know politically it makes sense to kind of identify all people who are Latino and Hispanic kind of together. But I don't know how you feel about that, Jenny, or if you've noticed anything about that, because a lot of the comments, especially the MAGA comments, white supremacists and those kind of comments, they identify and they say things about our show from a racial standpoint. And it's like, well, Hispanics, Latinos, and Latinas, whatever, they are considered technically, I guess, if you go by the race, they're white. It's just their ethnicity. Now, there are Hispanics and Latinos that are Afro Latinos, or that are Asian Latinos, and so forth. And so, I don't know. Tell me, what do you think about this topic, Jen?
Well, I think it's really driven by the bigots,
Sure.
bigotry, whether it's racism or xenophobia or whatever. We've had a ton of that since the era of Trump and
Yes.
MAGAs and things of that nature. I don't think we debated it as much before 2016. Maybe a little bit with Obama too, and the whole birther thing. But again, that came from Trump. Is the reason why we're divided or so pitted against each other is because you got one side that is highlighting. They always say, well, we don't care who you are.
Yes.
But we don't like Mexicans. We don't like,
exactly.
We don't like black people. We don't like woke
Sure.
people. We don't like women. We don't like queers. They go down the list of people they don't like, but we don't want you to identify either. So they say they don't want identity politics,
but they do it. Yeah.
But their identity politics and their cancer culture is, gosh, who they are. They invented cancer culture. The conservative right has always been about cancel culture. And I guess they just don't want to admit it. Again, we go back to our topic of the who farted kid. They're definitely the political party of the who farted kid, because they have made race and race-based issues such as equality, equity, affirmative action, all the DEI programs, things like that, such a big deal, so that they can cancel those programs. That they've intimidated companies like Target and Anheuser-Busch, and now Tractor Supply, of all companies to pick. And it's so random, it's so weird, because many of these companies have had these policies for a long time. Walmart and Target, for example, have had a lot of this stuff for 20, 30, 40 years. Walmart's one of the biggest employers of trans people. And they've had affirming programs for a long, long time. Like, it's not a recent development, and Walmart tends to take care of their queer employees. So this isn't something new. This isn't something that got invented yesterday. but the MAGA movement and even the media to a certain point has
Sure.
really made some of these issues way more prevalent than probably they should be. You know, to stop, you know, immigration, to stop things they don't want to be part of.
You know, it is, you know, as I've been thinking about it, Jenny, it is, especially now that I live in North Carolina, my family lives in North Carolina. It is in many ways, and this is the conversation I think our Latinx, Hispanic, Latino community has to start talking about, because it is a double-edged sword. We want to identify as a group of individuals just for strength, for political strength. And so there is some advantages on grouping each other together, whether you're Cubano, Puerto Rican, Mexican American, you know, or Dominican, you know, or whatever the case may be. There is an advantage of it, just as there is an advantage of expanding the alphabets of the LGB and then going to T, Q, and A. You know, there's an advantage of expanding it. The more people you have in your organization, the more powerful that group is. But there's the disadvantage is it can be used against you when people are trying to marginalize you. And so, you know, the advantage of being using the term black and brown, for an example, allows you to use the strength of the black and brown or the people of color community. But in the same way, it allows the bigots and the white supremacists to say those black and brown people. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So it is a conversation I think that we all need to have, but I think the most important thing is we have to kind of look at the fact that you know, many people, and I'm not going to speak for everyone because I'm not a educator on this topic or whatever the case may be, or whatever the term is, but you know, my family is the Tejano culture, Tejano family is a mixture of a mixture of people. A mixture of Spaniards, of indigenous people, of you know, all kinds of individuals in that region, and so it's a wonderful mixture. And there are families that probably have more indigenous in them. There are families that probably have more Afro in them. They're, you know, wherever their family is from, and so so there is a lot of differences. And so I think. For me, I think that's what, from a political standpoint, because that's kind of where I'm looking at it from. Living in North Carolina, the challenge that we have is like they have in Texas: is how do you appeal to this specific group when there is such a mixture of individuals? And so, if you're in North Carolina and you want to get out the Latino, Hispanic vote, don't come to me in Spanish because I don't speak Spanish. You know, because then you're saying, well, you're not really part of us. And the way we're going to talk to you is you're separate. And the Democratic Party here, that's how they approach Latino Hispanic voters. Whereas the Republican Party, they don't even talk about that. They just say, we want to talk about this issue, this issue, this issue. I don't know if that's coming across as how I'm trying to explain it.
But to be fair, the Republican Party is very monochromatic. I mean, it's over 90. Yeah. Let's be real. It's over 90% white. Like there's. I mean, I always laugh because if you look at a picture of Biden's cabinet,
yes,
and you look at a picture of the Republican, you know, the former guy's cabinet, one looks like a Klan meeting.
Exactly.
One looks like the
United
real
Nations.
World.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because we don't live in a, you know, being of mixed race myself, that I'm not 100% German, I'm not 100% Eastern European. I've got a lot of other stuff in my genetics. I tend not to identify as white, even though if somebody puts a clipboard in front of me, if there's a mixed option, I'll put mixed. If white's the primary deal, I don't really care because I do, I also have white passing privilege. I'm blue green eyed. I am light skinned, except in the summer I get a little darker, and I've got boxed bleach blonde hair. And,
that's right.
And so, get away with a lot because of those appearances, and so I think anybody that's a lighter skinned person in their own ethnicity or their race get away with a lot more, where they're more Anglo passing or more white passing. We see a lot of colorism in the Hispanic and Latinx community.
Exactly.
Where lighter skinned Latinx people tend to gravitate more towards white culture or whiteness or whatever you want to call that, or go, oh, I'm not one of them. I'm not I'm not the farmhand. I'm not the that's a good point. The racial epithets, and the bigoted slur words. And I've heard that in the community. I can't speak for the Hispanic or Latinx community because I'm not either one of those identifiers.
You're honorary.
But I did. I'm honorary. I'm adjacent.
That's right.
I ate a Taco Cabana once, but growing up in that culture and having such a love and affinity for the culture, and it, to me, it's more familiar than white culture is, because that's what I knew for a long time in my life, and honestly, and really, back to that.
And you think about it, Jenny. From I know race as I wish we didn't even use that term, because what is white? White is really Italian and Polish and Czech, all of these other mixtures of ethnicities. And so there's no, especially when you see the MAGA people, white supremacists, I don't know what you're a mixture of people yourself, so it's bizarre for you to happen to be lighter skinned than probably some of the other members of your family. So it is a bizarre thing that I don't know. I don't know how we get rid of that. I don't know if we can, but
I think when somebody opens their mouth, they have to produce their 23andMe, and when they got like 2% African and 5%. Indian from Asia and all these little, we're all genetic hodgepodges of something. I think like the majority of the world's population is all descendants of Genghis Khan, for example, because he impregnated so many women over the years that he was raiding across the Eurasian continent. And just as an example, like we're all within a sixth cousin of everybody. So we all came from Mother Africa. We all, whether we got the tinted windows or not, we all came from the same place. All great apes or human beings came from sub-Saharan Africa. Whether we would admit that or not.
All right.
But funny story, and before we go to the next subject, there is a anthropological find in England of a original OG UK resident that was, I think, 100,000 years ago, like early Europeans, and they were very black. They were very African looking and very dark. And it's interesting because that person that died 100,000 years ago still has descendants in the UK, and they're very, very white. Because people don't realize that we all descended from people of color, that we were all people of color at one time. And very funny.
It is. Listen, if you like what you hear from Jenny, she does have a show that comes on every Wednesday at 11:30. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. This last commercial, then we'll do a very brief end of the show because we're going over just a little bit. This last commercial is about her show. We'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce right after this.
So we have a great fall lineup, and we encourage you to tune in to many of our fabulous shows, like our He Say show, and many more things in October and November as well. Thanks for watching, as always, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce, but I wanted to talk about something personal. I have started a company with a business partner of mine called Java Notes Records. And we have an Instagram page, and in our biography, or as the cool kids call it, the bio, we have a link to our Indiegogo page. If you go onto our Instagram or our Facebook, we have a campaign going for our Indiegogo, and it's helping us start this company that's going to help so many people between employment, charitable events, things of that nature. We're really doing this for our local community and really trying to help others and create a job for me too. But if you would go to our Instagram page for Java, like JAVA Notes Records, and I would appreciate the support. Thanks for listening.
All right,
bye, y'all.
so Instagram and Facebook, Java Notes
Records.
Right, got it. Java Notes Records. All right, thank you. Hey everyone, this is Christian Cano with the Coffee Pan Dulce Show. I want to thank everyone who watched our wonderful summer shows. We had incredible viewership and incredible listenership numbers. And we also want to let you know that our fall schedule is out. We have some great shows coming in September, October, and November. So please stay with us all fall and watch our fall shows on Coffee Pan Dulce. I'll dance out.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Don't forget to join Jenny's show. I did not steal that Whataburger segment. So listen to her show, listen to mine. You'll realize it's an original thought. So, all right. Now we're going to go jump directly into the Pendejo Chronicles. And this is the Pendejo Chronicles. Okay, today's Pendejo of the week is very similar to the race conversation. I'm not an expert in these areas. We're talking about these topics because this is something I think people talk about, and sometimes people just don't want to talk about them. But there is the Pendejo Chronicles. This is an example of the MAGA white supremacist rhetoric and talking points. I don't understand why they do it, but they say things like this. There is a person on one of our social media sites that was it was talking about. We did a show called "Some to Save Democracy" or something. I can't remember the name of the show. And we had a lot of posts, social media posts, a lot of them haters, of course, and some of them just put in their comments. One of the persons was trying to put everyone in their place by the name of Kevin Rich. And Kevin Rich posted, "We are a constitutional republic, not a democracy, no matter how often you say it. Google the Pledge of Allegiance and see if the word democracy or republic is used." Now, when you first see that, you think, well, what's the purpose of saying something like that? It's the talking point of like conspiracy theorists. It's kind of a libertarian kind of talking point. It's also a MAGA talking point. And they like to use it, especially because people are saying that Trump is a danger of democracy. And the way they try to change the subject or deflect responsibilities by saying, well, I know we are, but what am I? And so their version is, well, we're not really a democracy, we're a republic. Because I think what they're trying to insinuate is if you can't get the term democracy and republic right, then you can't be right, period. Well, my understanding is, I'm not a constitutional attorney. I wish we had President Obama or someone who, this is their field. The United States of America is both a democracy and a republic. We're a republic because we have a constitution. We're a constitutional republic. The Constitution, these are the laws, the rules that we have to follow. But we're also a form of democracy because democracy, we elect people. The people elect the representatives. So we're both. So when he says, well, Google the Pledge of Allegiance, there's not the word democracy. Just because the word democracy is not in the Pledge of Allegiance doesn't mean that we're not a democracy. And so I don't understand. And maybe you can explain it to me, Jenny, because I don't understand why people post things like this.
So, Pledge of Allegiance, first of all, is not a founding document.
Exactly.
We started doing that in the 1920s and 30s. So exactly. The Pledge of Allegiance isn't even 100 years old.
Yes,
Second of all,
exactly. Yeah.
we just did that to indoctrinate kids to get them,
Yes.
condition them in public schools. This is just,
Sure.
it's something that's not official. A Pledge of Allegiance isn't any more important than the Kafudi rule for kindergartners: keep all hands and foreign objects to yourself. Is that it has nothing to do with the Constitution, it has nothing to do with the framers. They were very adamant that we were a democracy, and many of our founding ideas came from democracy ideals from classical Greek and Roman times, and from France and the French Revolution as well, because the French Revolution, was happening at the same time, or the approximate same time. So a lot of democracy ideas, England as well, and the Magna Carta, and so many other things. And they think they're making a point, but they actually just sound stupid when they say it.
But why do you think they bring those things up?
It's a distraction argument.
That's okay.
It's to take you off that, make you argue about whether it's a democracy or a republic,
instead of whether Trump is a danger to it,
or that he's a dick.
Exactly.
Like the guy can't even own up to the own plan that his party created, and his staff members actually are part of that. Like his, many of his cabinet members and assistants are now working for the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025. And these people just can't own their shit. The bottom line is they would rather argue about semantics than actually argue about the point that maybe Trump is just a big asshole, and maybe you are too.
Sure. Because Jenny, even though I don't believe this, but if these people were truly concerned about that, then they should also be concerned about Christian nationalists and people who want to combine church and state, because there's not one use of the word God in our Constitution, but yet people believe that God should be on the dollar bill. And so if you're truly, it's curious to hear what they're, we have this saying, I know you and I've talked about it, I know we got it in the show. When you peel back a bigot, there's just layers and layers of bigotry behind them. So when you peel back someone who is trying to distract you from the use of democracy, these are the same people that are trying to distract women from saying things, distract LGBT people from saying things. Their whole game plan and their whole is a Trumpish kind of thing to create chaos, distraction from what the real concerns are. And that's why they throw these kind of things in there.
It's no different than when they made a big deal about wearing masks during
exactly.
COVID.
Exactly.
You never heard them talk about it before.
Sure.
And now all of a sudden, every Proud Boy seems to be just fine wearing
a mask. Exactly.
It's kind of amazing how they wouldn't do that at the job site or in a Walmart, but now all of a sudden they breathe just fine marching along into their little white nationalist Nazi rallies. But it's honestly, it's just a big old crock of shit. It's what it is.
Exactly.
It's typical of them. They throw up these red herring arguments, these false arguments, and to exhaust you and make you debate it more than it needs to be.
Sure,
they're just a dick. You're just an asshole. And instead of owning how big of an asshole you are, you want to distract. And it's one of the reasons they're trying to get Biden taken off the Democrat ticket, which would be just political suicide. Is they want Democrats to force Biden to step down because they know Biden's the only person that can beat Trump. He's done it once, he's going to do it again. And they know that just like in France, just like in England, the UK, and just like the United States, there's a lot of people pissed off at fascists. And the Republican Party is definitely the fascist party of the two big parties. Democrats are not perfect, but they're not total trash bags like Republicans are.
Exactly.
Just as
Good
that
point.
simple. Look at the track records
Yep.
between Trump and,
Yep.
and Biden, and let them
Okay.
run on their records.
Exactly. Good point. Listen, we've gone over. I apologize for everyone. Apologize to you, Jenny, because I know I try to keep you on time here. And tell us where you're going to be after this show post. We'll go around the Brady Bunch screen. It's just you and me. So,
Yeah,
where are you going to be?
real quick. So I'm still working on the business thing. With the Java Notes Records. So you can check us out on Instagram. We have a lot of campaigns going. Some more exciting news. We've made a lot of progress on finding a storefront. Probably some big announcements coming really, really soon. I'm super excited. Been busy. It's been a hot, exhausting summer, but It's been worth it. That's about it. Not doing too many fun things. Kind of saving up my fun for Charlotte Pride. And
that's right. Right around the corner. Right around the corner. I will be somewhere. So that's it. Hey, great show. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Your insight should be back next week. Next week, we'll be talking about this is our part 5, our 5th time. And I have a challenge to everyone. Please watch a morning couple hours of your local PBS station. You have 4. So next week, we'll be talking about PBS again. And are they still the PBS? Are they still the funded all-white British media? So we'll be talking about that. So I know you don't like PBS, Jenny, so I challenge you to watch it if you can. So we'll see you next week in Coffee and Pan Dulce. Bye, y'all. We'll dance out.
Bye, y'all.
Here we go.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching or listening to Coffee and Pan Dulce. And it's hot out there. We're in July. Pace yourself. Drink some water. Wear a hat. Stay in the AC unless you're in Texas.
Yes.
But yeah, be safe out there. A lot of cray-crays. Have a great week. Thanks for listening.
Bye, y'all. See you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is 2 Queers in a Truck. Stay tuned.
Hey, I'm Christian Cano. I wanted to thank you so much for watching our Coffee and Pan Dulce shows. I also want to thank you so much for watching us on our video podcast, which is on Facebook and YouTube, but also for listening to us on our audio podcast shows on your favorite audio podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and many more. Once again, thanks for watching us and listening to us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Bye, y'all.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Sounds great.
You sounded like a telenova. I mean,
I'm trying this. All I have to say is go. Yes.
As a non-Spanish speaker.
Whenever you want. Okay, Jen. We got like 15 minutes left. We're just going to talk very briefly about this, and then we'll go into our last segment. Here we go. Sorry, Jen, I went really over on that one. We'll do this like in 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, here we go.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.